Welcome back. Late Morning Latte here. I'm your guest host, Jeff Coney. We're continuing our conversation with our head football coach, Kenny Evans. And Coach Evans, we just talked about the Tarleton State opener on the road, but our home opener is the next week on September 11th here at Doc Wadley Stadium at 7 o'clock against Abilene Christian. How about a few comments about that game on the horizon?
Well, that's another top 10 team, a team that's predicted to do very well in the Lone Star Conference, that has been one of the top teams nationally for the past few years. We haven't played them in my tenure here, and so it'll be a new experience for me. And you know, the atmosphere that we have here at home and the things we do, you know, I know the crowd's going to love it, and you know, I think we're improved enough. Our guys are looking forward to that game also. They're a little bit like Tarleton. They will control the ball as much as they can. They have a good running game. They've had some great receivers and quarterbacks in the past too, so they've been able to do a little of both. And Coach Thompson does a great job with his people, so it'll be a contest that we will have to be at our top to have a chance to win that game.
Well, the first couple of games here, it's really going to depend not only on how the offense moves the ball, but really how the defense can stop the opponent. And speaking of the defense, what do you impressions of the defense and some names on the defensive side of the ball for the Riverhawks this year?
Well, we'll start with the defensive line too, because that's where it all starts. And we have experience back at that position. We graduated T.J. Raymond, who's with the Redskins at this point, but we have Billy Blackard, the transfer, came in a year ago from OU. That is having a very good preseason. He's worked extremely hard this summer. We've already had 3 pro scouts in, and we've got a couple more coming tomorrow that they're all taking looks at him. And then you mix with him Travis Boswell, a local product who has had to learn a new position since high school, defensive end, and done very well, and we're expecting big things from him. Kaom Hansen, transfer from Sac City Junior College in California, who will start for his second year. And the other defensive line position, Ed Coleman, Bo Bethard, Whitfield from Spiral. We've got some people. Our philosophy with our D-line is to play 8 and roll them in, keep them fresh. We may not be as big in the D-line without TJ as we've been the last 2 years, but we probably have a lot more athleticism in our defensive line. So they're the anchor that will give us a chance. At linebacker, you know, there's a few guys that jump out at you. Johnny Evans, he'll be a 4-year starter. He's been on our SAC committee. He's done a lot of things in this program, been one of the top tacklers the last 2 years. Donald Dangerfield is the outside linebacker who was all conference last year. Only in his 3rd year of ever playing the game of football, and he's done already some great things. A very athletic young man that will really help us a lot. And then at the Mike linebackers, a battle right now between Gus Jones, who transferred in from Oklahoma, and Chris Myers, a transfer from Kilgore Junior College. Those two both are doing a great job, so we have a little depth at that position, which we haven't had in the past. Probably the biggest question mark defensively is our secondary. Nick Dobler, who was the mainstay last year and who we were really counting on, has not been able to practice at this point. You know, we're awaiting word to see if he'll even get to play this year. And so that's a scary thought, but the young guys have really stepped up. We're more athletic than we've been in the past in the secondary. We just have all 4 new guys, and there's about 7 to 8 guys in the secondary battling. The biggest name might be Nate Robinson, the transfer that hasn't played in 2 years, but 3 years ago was Player of the Year in this conference.
That sounds good. Now, after you open September 2nd at Tarleton and September 11th, the home opener against Abilene Christian, there's a competition date we've all been looking forward to. That's the Potato Bowl, traveling up to North Dakota against a Division I opponent. Now, what does that game do for your program? And are the student athletes already talking about that and looking forward to taking the charter flight up to Fargo and playing the University of North Dakota?
Oh, they're looking forward to that. I think that's a great deal for us. I think that's a time for our players to gain some life experiences through the game of football that you can't teach. And so I'm really looking forward to it too. I've never been there, and I thought I've been almost everywhere, but I haven't been to North Dakota. It'll be good competition. They played Texas Tech within a couple of touchdowns. You know, and so it's a experience that they'll be able to talk about the rest of their lives. You know, and I know our guys are very excited about that game also.
Now, some other news we had that came about this summer was a change in conference affiliation, and within a year or two, we will be leaving the Lone Star Conference and traveling to the Mid-America Intercollegiate Athletic Association, a conference that you know full well, the competition, being a part at a couple different staffs up there. What casual fan, what's going to be the perspective in a couple years when Northeastern State starts playing the competition in the MIAA?
Well, it's going to become the premier Division II conference, because it's with 16 teams, it's a super conference. It was tough just from my years in the past, remembering, and I do have a championship. I reminded those guys of that from that conference, and Lone Star's tough too, but this is going to be, with what adding us and Central Oklahoma and the teams they've put into it, is going to make it definitely the top conference, I would say, in football in the nation. So we'll have our hands full. It'll be a great deal for this institution, for us to advance and move forward, and so I'm looking forward to it.
Now, one of the things that's been hidden in the transition to the MIAA has been the fact that we are making the move with the University of Central Oklahoma, our heated rival, our President's Cup rival. And in talking with some of the other coaches, I don't know if we've had this conversation, but the evaluation performance starts with, did you beat Central Oklahoma this year? And then we go through the other stuff. What is it like having that kind of a rivalry with a Division II partner like Central Oklahoma? And we have them here at Doc Wadley. What are the fans going to see when the Broncos come into town?
Well, traditionally that's been a great rivalry, and it's the fact that we're able to continue in a new conference with that rivalry speaks volumes. And so our players, they're up for that game. It's came down to the wire both years. We've been a little short. Hopefully this year we feel like we have some experience in some areas that hopefully will get us over the hump. I know our players look forward to that game as much as anyone, and I know Dr. Betts would like to get that President's Cup too.
He sure would. Now, in terms of growing a program or building a program, it's a very difficult thing to do. You're now in your third year, and while we haven't seen the results necessarily in wins and losses, I think everybody in the staff feels very good heading into this year. And so what is your gauge for success for the 2010 campaign? Well,
the coaching side of me, I hate to lose, and so wins are what I'm after more than anything also. But when I came here, it was very evident that needed to lay a solid foundation with players that wanted to get degrees, number one, and that would do things right in the classroom to get a degree, and also would do things off the field correctly. And I think we've made some great progress in that area. And to me, I knew until we got that type of foundation, it was going to be difficult to win football games. I think we have the foundation in place, and we have some players in place. As we continue to recruit the type of people that we need to get college degrees, that care about the game of football, and that are good athletes, then those wins are going to start coming. The fact that we have a coaching staff intact that's been together now, the consistency that we're seeing within the program is starting to show through a little bit right now. And in the first 2 years, that wasn't there. So a solid foundation with good people that are doing things right in the classroom and off the field, and then consistency from the coaches. I think the wins are going to start taking care of themselves very soon.
And maybe you brought up the coaching staff. Some folks may not be familiar with the fact that you brought in somebody with significant experience both at the Division I and Division II levels. So maybe a couple comments on Coach Mike Nolan, what he's brought to your program initially.
Coach Knowles, he's coached Miami Hurricane when they were national champions. He's been the head coach in Division I football. He's been at programs like Purdue, the University of Tulsa, under Coach Cooper and Coach Rader. So he knew this area. And as a friend of mine from way back, and the things that I knew that he could bring the program, I feel very fortunate to have him, as well as the other guys that we have on our staff.
Well, Coach, thanks a lot for being here on Late Morning Latte and spending a few minutes with the viewers on this great show. And when you come back, we'll have more information for you on Late Morning Latte. Guest host Jeff Coney, Director of Athletics. Come out and support the Riverhawks September 11th, our home opener against Abilene Christian. We'll see you there.